Welcome to my Fnatic Streak 65 LP review. So let's start off with the specifications. So this keyboard is 31.75 centimeters wide, 10.85 centimeters long, and it is just 2.2 centimeters tall and weighs around 426 grams without the cable. The switches are from a collaboration between Fnatic and Kale. These are linear, so basically this means there's no resistance from the switch at all. The actuation weight is around 45 gram force and has about 1mm pre-travel. You can only get the keyboard in American ANSI or ISO UK layouts, God save the Queen. And it has 69 keys. I had to count twice. The 65 means the percentage of a full-size keyboard. Personally, I think they should have called it the 69 LP, it would be a lot better. Now in terms of features, this thing has many, so I'll try and burst through them as efficiently as possible so we can get to what really matters. My opinion. You have textured keys, which are also double shot PBT, which stands for polybutylene, I think that's right, terephthalate. Polybutylene basically durable and high quality. Double shot means two pieces of plastic together. There's an image here showing the difference between their old and new ones, but I can't help but feel that mine don't look like the new ones. What do you think? Am I crazy? You have a coiled cable which serves no real purpose apart from that it looks cool, and that is a known fact. There is no benefit with a coiled cable. But this cable is also a USB Type-C, which is great because it means that they've adopted universal technology. A big feature as well as the build, it has all sorts of interesting headlines like solid aluminium construction for a bit of strength and durability, lubricated stabilizers so there's less rattle and noise. Honestly, this keyboard feels very tight. There seems to be no corners cut here, the whole thing looks and feels very clean. And the construction is as they described, it's very durable and consistent, which is probably the most important thing with a keyboard in general. I've had a few gaming keyboards and they've always missed the mark with consistency and getting that real quality feel, but this one definitely has it. They also say that it will resist some rough and tumbles, saying it's guaranteed to last through any celebratory keyboard smash. Now I'd love to test this out, but I don't think we're a channel that is at that kind of level to really test the products this way yet, but with your help, if you like and subscribe this video, we might get there one day. If you want a sound check, here you go. The sound is rather quiet. If you're a bit heavy-handed with your keys like I am, it's totally not because I've got years of frustration building up inside me, then it's still not that bad. The sound of the keys bottoming out, which is when the key goes all the way down as far as it can, isn't that loud either. With some other gaming keyboards, there's often times when there's a bit of rattle with the enter key or spacebar at least. Here it's just consistent throughout the board and it's great. You do get a light show as well, but I will now say my piece in my very personal opinion, and then I'll try and get into the head of someone that regularly shows a picture of their battle station with matching LEDs because they're lacking any semblance of a personality. I personally feel that lights actually somewhat ruined this keyboard visually, because it looks super clean and crisp, and then when you plug it in you've got that 16.8 million colour rainbow show. It's kind of a bit tacky. Granted, you can change this in software, which I highly recommend you do, because when you pick something a little less varied, it matches the simplicity of the keyboard a lot more. Fnatic have said they've made sure the light really spreads out. There's even this little magnetic clip thing that you can take off at the top. I don't know what its purpose is at all. Maybe to create more light? If you are someone that collects Funko Pops, you'll be happy to know that there are a good range of colour options you can choose from in software and out of it if you need to. Speaking of software, it's very light in terms of functionality. You can do key bindings and stuff, but I've never done that. Honestly, the lack of functions in software is completely fine for me. The next thing up is obviously there's a lack of keys. This does have a benefit, and I'll go into some more detail later. For those that see this as some sort of fandangled out of this world technology typing device, you basically have a function key here which allows you to keep the normal functions that you'd have with a full-size keyboard. And on these keys they are all labelled as well. On some keyboards there aren't any labels on the keys. Some people don't even have letters on them either. Some keyboards don't even have keys. Because these keys are low profile, Fnatic say this will help with ergonomics a lot more, as some people might have a wrist rest to keep their wrists as rested as possible and in keeping to a natural position without having to stretch and reach as far to hit certain keys. Here they've aimed to make it so it's not needed with its height reduction, doing a good job to make sure that I can still have functioning hands when I reach 50. Thank you, Fnatic. There's also adjustable feet as well, so if you want it a bit higher you can do. So what do I think? I think I do somewhat like it. There's a lot of good things here that really help make this feel like a quality keyboard. As mentioned, the gaming keyboards I have used have felt a bit rattly in places and maybe focused a bit too much on wacky features than anything else. It is just a keyboard. I say it doesn't have as much impact on playing as a mouse does in my opinion. So what I'd say is important is quality and also maintenance. Speaking of maintenance, it is probably my favourite thing about this keyboard. A lot of other gaming keyboards have bigger keys, are a lot more chunky and have switches embossed further into the housing, so when it comes to cleaning it's very hard and it also collects the dirt a lot easier. Here, as everything is leveled out and with the low profile keys, it's easy to clean with some compressed air, and if you want to take the keys off for a deeper clean, it's so much easier to give it a wipe down. As I mentioned before, I used a G Pro keyboard and I used it probably the most, but my god that was a pain to clean. It really was. I'd have to use cotton buds to get all the gaps and everything. Cat hairs are the most common issue I get on my keyboards, and being able to give it a quick burst of compressed air every few days is really convenient, as I'm also getting a lot of the offending foreign objects. The other thing is the smaller size. If you've ever had a small keyboard, it is very hard to go back to a full size one. These smaller sizes help better for ergonomics, as sometimes you might have to have your arms a bit wide apart for enough room for keyboard and mousepad. This size reduction helps you keep a more natural position for your shoulders and also gives you a bit more room in general on your desk. Also, you do get some extra keys on the right side, which I think is a nice touch. I think a lot of smaller profile keyboards normally stop on the right control key completely, so there's no arrow keys or anything to the right side of the enter button. But I like the few additional keys and I think there's a practical use for them as well. For a quick buy in CSGO, or what I use it for is for some shortcuts in OBS. Basically you want something extra that's quick to hit, that's separate from other places on your keyboard without having to hit the function buttons as well. One issue I do have though is that I have never needed to use a gaming function mode on a keyboard until this one came along. A gaming mode is normally just a case of having the Windows key disabled. You can activate it here by pressing function plus C. Because the keys require such little force to actuate, it's actually pretty easy to mispress keys, and I've done it so many times. It might be because I'm not used to such light keys, and if I'm honest it probably is, but be warned, they will feel very sensitive and you will probably have this problem. I kept on pressing Windows and Tab and adding a new desktop or suddenly opening Task Manager and stuff. It was a pain. I don't experience that problem as much now though, so it's not completely gone away, but it's happening a lot less, so I'd imagine I get used to it fully and it won't happen at all. My final issue with this is what's written on the box. By the time they see you, it's too late. Really? So overall I can recommend this keyboard. The price is around $120, 130 euros or 110 pounds at the time of this review, which honestly is pretty decent for a very well made keyboard. You get some high quality to it with PPT keys, aluminium base, and there's clearly a lot of attention to detail to make sure that this keyboard is consistent throughout and also in general just feels clean. I do think they've got a really good compromise of a low profile keyboard but still having it functional for gaming, as they haven't completely stripped it of every key. When I got this and put my G Pro keyboard away, I've never been tempted to bring it back. This is honestly, after some time of getting used to, been a really good keyboard, and I hopefully look forward to using it for a long time.